Hi everyone, it's me Willow and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have another movie review for all of you, and today it is Denis Villeneuve's new movie Dune Part 2! Yes, I just got out of seeing Dune Part 2. I do want to give a little disclaimer for the sound. I am in my car right now and it's currently raining, so I'm sorry for the background rain noise. Hopefully it's kind of relaxing and soothing as we talk about the new Dune movie, but just wanted to give that quick disclaimer. So yeah, Dune Part 2. So it picks up right off from Dune Part 1. I actually waited until the day before to watch Dune Part 1 because in 2021, when everybody was talking about Dune, everybody was saying that it really leaves off with like that ginormous cliffhanger and that a lot of stuff doesn't really happen in the movie. It's more of a setup movie for Part 2, which is exactly true. Obviously Part 1 is gorgeous. I really do like it. I thought the world building is incredible. One of my favorite things about movies is world building, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a big Star Wars fan. If you followed my channel for a long time, you'll know how big of a Star Wars fan I am. But obviously Dune is like the sci-fi before Star Wars, before so many well-known names. Dune is the predecessor to so many famous sci-fi stories. So I'm very interested to get into this world as I'm very limited to the Dune lore. I have watched like one or two Dune videos on YouTube explaining like the book better. But after seeing Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, I want to go read the book. I know it's a very difficult, very long read, but I'm just so interested in, like I said, the world of Dune. And that's what I really praise about the first movie, is that it does such a good job of setting up the emphasis of this Messiah, the idea between the different worlds, fighting between the Fremans and the Harkons and the Atreides. So I really do love how it sets up the ideas for war, for the Messiah, all of these story building things so we can get to the climax in Part 2. And that's exactly what happens in Part 2. We finally get a lot of payoff. There is so much action in this movie. One of my favorite parts, which I think everybody's talking about, is just the cinematography of the movie. Obviously Part 1, Part 2, both of them are incredibly gorgeous. And I can't remember exactly who the cinematographer is for this movie, but I'll put his name up here, his or her name up here, so you guys know who they are. But obviously they work very closely with Denis. And I'm not exactly sure if they're the same cinematographer from Blade Runner 2049, but very opening shots of Dune Part 2 really transported me into Blade Runner 2049. That movie has so many hues of orange and red, and obviously because we're spending so much time in a desert world, we're going to see a lot of those hues of reds and oranges in Dune Part 2 as well. And I just love seeing, I'm a big fan of Blade Runner 2049, so I just really like seeing that reminder, that callback almost to Denis's past work. So yeah, very much enjoyed that. Another part of the movie that I really enjoyed that I feel like people don't talk about are the costumes. I was stunned by the costumes, specifically Florence Pugh's characters. She's like the Empress or the Emperor's daughter. I thought her costumes were incredible. All of her silver garbs, her big like headpieces, very similar with Rebecca Ferguson's character, Lady Jessica. I just love their costumes. There's this one point when, as the Mother Priestess, she goes into this one temple with Paul, and they're going against the Emperor and they're fighting at the very end, and her costume, man, she has this huge beautiful garb on. You can just tell obviously has spent hours being made, and I'm like, girl, how'd you find that out in the South? Like, this place that is barren, nobody's able to live, and this is where she gets this garb. So I really appreciate all the sewists that are on this team. I'll definitely put the head costume designer because it is incredible, all the different outfits, very distinctly telling the different cultures, different people. Like, obviously the Fremen have their own garb with kind of like the the loose material, very breathable in the harsh heat, the harsh nighttime. A lot of the time it's very, you want like breathable clothing in that atmosphere, but they also have like their armor and they have like their breathing tubes, all those mechanisms that are very distinct to that culture. And then you go to the Harkonnens and how all of their stuff is black and their world is kind of black and white as well, so it's very distinct to them. And then you see the Emperor's family and their like kind of silver, more quilty material that's used in their outfits. So I just love the dedication that goes into the costumes. Costumes is always one thing that I like strikes my eye first when I watch a film. So looking at the costumes in this, they're just like turned up 10 times compared to Dune Part 1. So I just wanted to say that I really loved the costumes in this movie, and they also help display the world. Obviously, these are not type of clothing that we would wear in the modern day here on Earth. So having kind of a mystical, sci-fi, otherworldly attire really helps to portray what type of world we are entering in, if that makes sense. I think Timothée Chalamet does an incredible job as Paul Atreides in this movie as Mudai. I think that's how they say his prophet name, or his Fremen name. I think that's when he becomes part of their group officially. He gets his own name and like war name, and he goes with Modi, which is the sand mouse or the desert mouse that's featured. And I really like that name, and I really like that scene specifically with Javier Bardem and how he speaks. That is actually a very powerful name, because a lot of the other Fremen are kind of laughing that he chooses this name of the desert mouse. But the fact that the desert mouse is resourceful, it's able to live out in the desert by itself, it's able to find and produce its own water. So I just like how they listed that, even though by its appearance it may seem a weak creature. And I also like how they often mention that Paul's father, the reason why they killed him was that he led with his heart. So he was a weak man, weak soldier. And like, I like how you can relate that to the desert moon or the desert mouse kind of the same way, that it seems weak and everybody assumes that Paul is going to be weak, but in reality he's the most resourceful one out of all of them, or that you don't know what to expect from him almost because of his exterior. So I really liked that scene. Thought it was very powerful, and I thought it really helped to hone into the idea of the prophecy and the powerfulness of this prophecy, and how there are so many sides conflicted against it, because that's kind of the purpose of this movie, is just talking about, is Paul the real Messiah? Or is he not? Is this just like a story being told by the Jesuits? Is that how you say their name? Obviously, I'm gonna butcher a lot of this lingo, the lore of Dune. I like that, and the idea of, I really do like Choni, Zendaya's character, and how she often becomes that devil's advocate again, and she's like, is this actually how they're going to enslave us? You know, we all agree that this outsider is our Messiah, but is that their plan deep down? Because like also with the Bene Jesuits, and the main Bene Jesuit besides Lady Jessica, the one that's been working, like she was the leader, she was the one who trained Lady Jessica, she's also training Florence Pugh's character. I feel like she has been alluding to how much control that their clan has over the world and with their voice. So I'm just interested in, like, obviously they allude to at the end with Lady Jessica's character as the Mother Prophet being like, oh, now Paul's going to go and attack the other houses of the, like, their universe, and the war's officially going to start. And that's how the movie ends, is with, we are leading into part 3, which is, I'm pretty sure, Dune Messiah. I think that's what it's called. And it's leading into the great war that Paul has been wanting to avoid. So I'm just loving the underlining darkness. Like, how much control do the Bene Jesuits actually have over this situation? Did they have full control? Or did they just have like a little idea and they've pushed Paul along, they've pushed Lady Jessica along to get to this moment so the prophecy can come to full fruition? And I'm really interested to see, because I kind of know a little bit about like what happens to Paul in the future, because I've watched a couple lore videos. I'm not 100% sure though, because like I've said, I've never read the book, and it was a while ago, so I'm not really sure where it fits into the whole storyline. But I'm really interested to see if we're actually going to make it to this green paradise that he is promising at the end of the film. I don't know. Also, with him seeing his vision of his sister in the future, I was wondering if that is a real future that's going to happen, or if that was just in his mind, like she was just kind of like a messenger to push him along as well. We got a little cameo from Anna Taylor-Joy. She's coming up in Furiosa. They played the Furiosa trailer before seeing Dune, so it was kind of nice to see her in the little cameo as well. But yeah, I feel like that scene, like I was just wondering, like, is she just like a messenger in his dream, or is that a future that he's gonna see with her, you know, at the water, at the green paradise? Because this is like, it also killed me when they destroyed like the Fremen's kind of like home underworld with all the water from all the souls. That scene, it really hurt me, because all they want is the water to bring back this green paradise that they once had, and what they have been collecting for years, all those souls is gone. So I thought that was a very powerful scene as well, and just bringing back to the idea of, are we going to get to this green paradise, or is this a promise that's not going to come to fruition? I also really enjoyed Leia. I thought she was great in her small little role as a Bene Gesserit as well, kind of seducing Austin Butler's character, one of the Harkins nephew. Once again, I feel like that scene brings back the idea of how powerful the Bene Gesserits are, and how they're kind of around every corner, and we have no idea how much power they really have over us. So I wasn't 100% sure, because they were talking about the bloodline has been secured, so I assumed Leia's character had sex with Austin Butler's character and she was able to produce a male heir, because that's what they were talking about. I was just a little confused. So I think that's what's happened. I don't know why, like, because they wanted to secure the bloodline, I guess, of the Harkins. So that makes sense. They just did it with one of the Bene Gesserits, so I don't know how that, like, that's another question I have, is what are they going to do with this Harkin bloodline now that they have? So that was one question that was permeating in my brain, because I was like, is that what happened? Like, does she just get pregnant with him? Because they were trying to seduce him. They were talking about how he's able to be manipulated through sexual relations. That's how he's weak. And they were going to use that with Florence Pugh's character. And obviously he's killed by the end of the film. And that's kind of showing how the Harkins bloodline is being killed, because the Baron was killed as well. So I feel like that all comes to, like, we have a Harkin baby with the Bene Gesserit. So I just wonder how that's going to come into part 3. Because obviously the Harkins are related to Paul. That was another part that I got confused by, was how he was related to the Harkins. I kind of missed that part. So obviously there's a whole circle going on with this bloodline relations and how powerful these houses are going to be. So I feel like as long as they're able to tie all those loose ends up in part 3, I'll be okay. And I feel like it's not going to be that hard, because this movie was able to pack in so much storytelling. Really did. And I'm very happy, because I feel like I learned so much about the world, and all I want to do is just keep learning about the world, and I want to find out what happened. So very interested for part 3, and I think it will be a great film. Honestly, this series has been great blockbusters. It's kind of unfortunate that part 1 came out during COVID, like right in the heat of COVID, and then it had a whole mess with HBO Max and being put on the site and all this stuff, and without the actors and all the cast. That was crazy time with HBO Max and all that stuff. But obviously now we are back in the movies, and it is an incredible film. It is so big. Like, the scale is just unworldly. I appreciated getting to go to a couple different planets, not just staying on Arrakis in the north and in the south, like the desert. Like, I was grateful to move off of different, sometimes you get bored in the sand, you know? It'd be nice to move to different planets every once in a while and see how the world works there. So I liked going to the Emperor, I liked going to the Harkins, seeing the different layouts of the world. Like I said, the Harkins have that black and white world, and then the Emperor lives on a very lush planet, it seems, and then Arrakis is sand, you know, just sand and the spice fields. So the scale of the movie was just incredible. I really do kind of wish I saw it on IMAX. I feel like it'd be an amazing experience to see it on IMAX, but I just saw it in the regular screen. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. I will definitely watch this movie again. I feel like I'd be very interested to do like a full seating of part 1, part 2. That would be like 5 to 6 hours long, but it really is a seamless cut. Like, there's no cut in the film. Like, it goes directly into part 2 from part 1. So it does feel like a long episodic movie, in my opinion. It feels like it's meant to be together. Obviously, for the world, we have to split movies into parts. We can't just make a 6-hour long movie, even though I know some directors would. We can't just make all movies in silence, even though I know some directors would. Talking about you, Denise. But yeah, so yes, I enjoyed Dune Part 2 very much. I thought it was incredible for this blockbuster world that we are creating right now in 2024. Obviously, the beginning of 2024 didn't have too many hot movies, but now I feel like the movie season has just been kicked off, because now till like the end of summer, there's basically a movie coming out every single week, and it's like good titles, multiple good titles, sometimes a week. So very interested in what happens for the rest of 2024, because I think Dune is a great way to start off the blockbusters, the good blockbusters. Like, fuck Argyle. Who cares about Argyle? Argyle, you did not start the blockbusters of 2024. Dune Part 2 did. So yeah, I was definitely on the edge of my seat for a good part of the movie. I do want to say, everybody, please turn off your phones in the movies, because one thing that disrupted my movie enjoying experience of Dune Part 2 was this man who was sitting down a couple seats from me, and 3 separate times he was yelling into the audience, "Turn your phone off!" So I don't know who would turn the phone on after being yelled at 3 times, but he just kept yelling at people, and they were at like some of the most intense parts. They were at like the end of the movie when the Freckens are attacking the castle with the Harkins and the Emperor in it. So that was like one time he yelled at him, and then in the middle of that battle sequence he's yelling again, and at the very end, after Paul defeats Austin Butler's character and is about to kill the Emperor, he starts yelling again in like, it's like silence in the theater. We're just in this intense moment, and he's like, "Turn off your bloody phone!" And somebody's yelling at him back, "Who are you even talking to?" And then the movie basically ends 10 minutes later, and it's like, dude, I know, I hate when people are on their phones. I get it. But you're ruining the experience for everybody else by yelling in the middle of the movie at the most intense parts of the film. So everybody, please do not have your phone on during the movies so we can avoid situations like that, because honestly, that really did take my watching experience, because I was so in the zone with those scenes, because they're the biggest moments of the flipping movie. The whole movie is leading up to this grand battle at the end, and he's screaming about an iPhone, and I'm like, oh my god, get over it. So please, everybody, turn off your phones before the movie starts so we don't have to experience that. Thank you all for sticking around to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, please comment down below your favorite part of Dune. Was it the costumes? Was it the acting? Was it the directing? Was it just the overall lore of the whole thing? I would love to hear all of your guys' thoughts. Please leave a like as well. and subscribe if you guys want more media movie reviews like this. Honestly, all of your guys' interactions with my channel really helps it to grow, so thank you so much for that. But yeah, thank you for sticking around and watching my movie review of Dune Part 2. I'll see you guys in a future video really soon. All right, bye!